All right. What's going on, guys? Tonight is going to be a good one. I know some of you guys are excited to hear about belly fat, right? Before we get started, just like always, I want to thank you guys. Whether you're tuning in now or watching at a later time, thank you for watching. Please feel free to like it if you did, and if you have any comments or questions, please leave them in the comments below this video. And we're just gonna give it a few seconds here. Anybody else who wants to join can join in, and then we'll go ahead and get started. Also, hope you guys had a good weekend. I think it's supposed to rain here in Atlanta pretty bad, so that'll be fun. Good way to start off the week, right? Also, let me know if this music, I try to turn it down like super low. If the music in the background's too high, just let me know and I can turn that down for us. To get a brief overview of what we're going to talk about tonight, when it comes to belly fat, we're going to talk about that stubborn belly fat that usually all of us think about at the very bottom of our stomach. Like, how do we get rid of that? I can always pinch it. Tonight, there's not just one definite answer, but let's definitely talk about why we may have that, where does it come from, and is it possible to get rid of it? So, again, if there's anything I can talk about tonight and I don't answer your question, feel free to ask. So let's go ahead and get started. And just remember, in the fitness world, everybody has a different opinion, or there's a new study that shows this, but we're going to stick with what's been around for years and years, and has been proven to be true quite a bit, right? So belly fat, what is it? I mean, everybody should know belly fat is just like any other fat in our bodies. It's just when we've eaten too many calories or more calories than we've burned, and our body stores it for later use, right? Energy for later use. So our belly fat that we can pinch and hold is no different than the fat that might be in our arms or legs or hips, right? So they're right then and there, nothing different. It's not some type of like sticky fat that we can't get rid of, or I've heard some other crazy stories. It's the same kind of fat, right? Now, when we talk about fat in our bodies, there are two different kinds. We have the subcutaneous and visceral. And before I go into that, I did send out a Google document to you guys on Facebook. If you didn't get that and you want the Google document, reach out to me. I'll send it to you, email, social media. Super easy, but it kind of gives the breakdown of what I'm talking about tonight. So if you're interested in that, please pull it up or please ask for it, and I got you. But let's talk about these two different kind of fats. Subcutaneous. This is the fat that lies right underneath the skin, right? This is the one when we poke it, it feels kind of jiggly or it's soft. That's the subcutaneous. That's usually the one most people think about when they talk about fat, right? And then you have this other kind called visceral. Now, subcutaneous is about 90% of the fat that's in our body, and visceral is like 10%. So a huge difference there. We don't have anywhere near as much visceral as we do subcutaneous, but this V fat does play a huge role in the belly fat, so just hear me out. The visceral fat is the fat lying underneath the abdominal wall. I'm actually going to pull up a picture here, I forgot. So you can kind of get an idea of what that means. Here's a good picture for it. Let me show you guys. Oh. Right, so subcutaneous right here, right in the front of the belly. Pretty simple. Visceral, right underneath that abdominal wall. Okay? So not too difficult to understand, but that kind of gives you an idea if you look at it, right? So let's talk about the V fat. And I specifically want to kind of target the women here, because I think that's mostly the people who are asking questions are women, right? Visceral fat can grow in women as they age, especially after menopause, okay? I know that word is kind of like frowned upon, but we have to realize that it happens, okay? And this is what pushes against your abdominal wall. So as it grows, if we continue to accumulate more visceral fat, it's going to push on that abdominal wall, which is going to push our belly out, right? Does that make sense? There's not a really good way to measure visceral fat. And I remember when I said this a long time ago, They used to have a way they thought they could, but it's kind of been debunked. You have to use very, very expensive tools and gadgets to measure this VFAT. So the best way to kind of gauge if you have accumulated more over the years is if, and I put right here in the Google document, if you're a woman, if your waist size is 35 inches or larger, you probably have accumulated more visceral fat over the years, and you probably have quite a bit and need to look out for it, right? We need to pay attention to it. For men, it's usually around 40 inches or more. Obviously, BMIs, your fat ratio, like kind of where you hold fat plays a part. So take this with a grain of salt. If you have a waist that's 35 inches or more, might just want to think about it, right? It doesn't mean you absolutely have a ton of visceral fat, so don't take it that way. When it comes to accumulating fats, yes, it's a lot of calories, but there's a lot of other chemicals that go throughout our body as we age, with menopause and whatever else. Our metabolism might slow down. Yes, but we're not going to break down to all those things. I think it's just a good idea to get a sense of what kind of fat we're holding, and to understand too that fat has this really negative connotation to it. People think that fat just genuinely is bad. It's a villain that we shouldn't be around and shouldn't be a part of our lives, but understand that fat plays a huge role in keeping us alive and healthy. And we'll kind of get into that later, but yes, we have visceral fat. A lot of it's not good. We have to have some. Subcutaneous fat maybe isn't fun to know that you have some, but we have to have that as well, just in line with what our body needs. We don't want an excessive amount. So I gave you guys 10 ways to keep fat at bay. And man, if you know me, if you've worked out with me, which most of you guys who are probably watching this have, I'm a very simple guy. Fitness is not incredibly hard unless you want to break down the chemical structures and energy structures. But when it comes to putting on muscle, burning fat, I mean, it's simple. It's simple. But let's talk about some of them. So 1, keep moving, right? Aerobic and anaerobic activity. Now, a lot of you guys have heard these terms before. Let me describe them. Aerobic is like walking for a long period of time, or running, interval training, doing sprints. It's getting the blood pumping. It's making our heart rate stay elevated for a certain period of time. Anaerobic is like stuff like weight training, strength training, lifting weights, doing push-ups, things like this. I put both in here because you do want both, and we'll go over why later. But if you are strength training, good job, proud of you, but also make sure you're walking or running or doing some type of aerobic activity. Very, very important. Calcium and vitamin D. Now, yes, there's been studies to show taking in more calcium, more vitamin D, boom, might help eliminate some of those visceral fats. But it's not completely proven to take care of them, to fix the problem. It just helps, or it can. But anyways, in your diet, you should have these regardless. So I put them in there. Leafy greens. And I know I'm not very big on dairy products, cheese, milk, ice cream. It's very calorie dense. But I think light yogurts are a very good addition to our diet that we should have. So leafy greens, yogurts, put them in there. Stay away from high fructose corn syrup. I always say this wrong. Hydrogenated oils. And then trans fats. You've heard this. If you've been to any diet seminar, if you've Googled fats, this has popped up. Don't eat these. I always check the labels. Obviously, if you have, we had soup tonight, and the tomato soup had some high fructose corn syrup. I'm not going to just not eat that because it has it in there, but I'm going to be aware to not have high fructose corn syrup in everything I eat. Okay? Pretty simple there. But big thing is trans fats, stay away from. These are the 3 fats that will not really help you. They are just bad for you. They don't really do much for your body besides making you feel like poop. So don't eat them. Also, good positive here. Every pound of fat you lose, every pound that you will lose some VFAT, visceral fat. This does not mean you lose a pound of VFAT. This does not mean that you lose a certain percentage of your VFAT, but you will lose some. So that's a huge positive. So when you lose 10 pounds, understand that you're losing some of that really ugly V fat, as well as that subcutaneous. And so that's a good positive to think about. But also, don't let your goal for fitness to always be lose weight, lose weight, lose weight. You know, I preach on that. I think it's cool. I think it's great to have a goal weight, but let's not be too severe and try to get to like 2% body fat. That's just not healthy. But a good positive is every pound you lose, you will lose some V fat. Another big one, this day and age, a lot of us are going with work, kids, school, whatever the case may be, and there's a lot of stress. I experience that a lot. But understand our cortisol levels, which are the stress hormone that we have, if that's increased and our stress is increased, we can actually increase our fat storage. We actually can hold on to fat or keep on to fat. So try to, you know, I'm not saying like if you get stressed, you got fat. But, you know, if you're stressed for months and months and months and you just never feel like you have a break, you might really need to reevaluate some things in your life to try to bring that level down. And that might be a whole other topic in itself, but just understand that stress does play a role in fat loss. You know, it's all connected. Last week, if you were on the live stream, I talked about protein, fiber. Fiber is good for digestion, all this other stuff, but fiber makes you feel full. So when I eat my oatmeal or whole grain rice, if you eat just a little bit, that fiber takes a long time to digest, and so you feel full longer, aka you won't eat as much. So protein, protein, protein all day, and then fiber, fiber, fiber. Two things you want to think about those two things, right? Another cool thing, this is why I love weight training, this is why I love strength training for women, for men, young or old. You need it. You don't have to be lifting 500 pounds, but you need it in your life. Not only does it make you feel strong, improve your quality of life, but as you build muscle, you'll replace that body fat with muscle. And that does not mean, hey, I did 10 bicep curls, I'm getting rid of bicep fat and making muscle, but just think of it as the more muscle you build, the more fat you're going to lose. So that's a really, really good plus to get in the gym, not just eat your good, healthy vegetables, get some gym time in there. This is a big one. Here we go. Strength training burns calories even after working out. This is huge. When we break down the muscle, when we work out, we will burn calories even after we're done. So that's why I'm huge on not just getting your walks in, your runs in, but when you get that gym time, when you do those push-ups or dumbbell press, whatever it is you like, you will be burning calories to help rebuild that muscle later on. So this is another way to help build muscle, burn calories, and get rid of fat. Pretty simple stuff. Number 9, this is one you really got to pay attention to. Embrace those healthy fats in moderation. Your avocados, right? Everyone loves avocado toast, your healthy butters, whatever it is you get your healthy fats from. Fish, all good stuff, salmon. These fats are good, and you need fats in your life, like I was telling you, to continue to move and live properly. And like I said, we can do a whole topic on that, but you have to have fats in your life, in your diet, to be healthy. The only thing is you have to realize that you only need so many. So yes, everybody I've trained is like, dude, I eat salmon all the time, it's so good, it's so healthy for you. Yeah, it is, but it's got quite a bit of fat. So if you're eating 6-7 days a week of salmon, that's a lot of fats, and you don't need that many. 1-2 days of salmon, perfect. So keep that in mind. You don't need avocado toast every single morning. Do it 2 or 3 mornings, just to get those healthy fats in. But understanding that to burn fat does not mean you eliminate fat from your diet. Not needed at all. I used to think that. You do not. Last one, number 10, is sleep. Sleep is huge. I know quite a bit of you guys don't get your sleep, me included. I'm not saying you have to get 8 hours, but if you're constantly or consistently getting 3, 4, 5 hours, it's gonna do a lot of things to your body, right? And it's gonna make you hold on to that fat just based off your stress levels. You're not going through your whole sleep cycle, all this other stuff. Just understand sleep does play a huge role. So if you're doing your cardio, if you're doing your strength training, if you're doing your diet, not saying that sleep will make you hold on to that fat, but it most certainly can play a part in keeping some of that unwanted fat on there. So now that we got through those 10 things, let me kind of describe to you a little bit what I experienced. You know, I used to be 215 pounds and I did not look good, okay? But in losing that weight, I did notice that, and it's been shown in studies too, that when you try to lose a lot of weight quickly, you will actually burn a lot of muscle rather than fat. So when you are losing weight, you're trying to get rid of the stubborn belly fat. You want to do it over a period of time. 1 to 2 pounds a week is your goal, right? Not 10. 1 to 2 pounds is a consistent rate where you can stay with for a while, and it won't be burning too much where we actually burn muscle. So we don't want to do that. Now, I know what you're thinking. You're like, hey, like you haven't answered the question, how do you get rid of belly fat, that stubborn belly fat? Well, you know what? It's the same exact way you burn any fat in your body, and it's a consistent diet. And you're like, gosh, I watched this whole thing for that answer. Well, yeah. I mean, if you go to the store, like a nutrition shop, and they're saying, and you're like, I want to lose belly fat, they're going to hand you Belly Buster Burn 90-1000. Doesn't do anything, okay? Yes, it'll help maybe like make you hot so you sweat a little bit more, but there's no answer to burning that belly fat. I think what a lot of us have to understand is, you know, like when I was 215 pounds and now that I'm 160, you know, there's a little bit of loose skin maybe that I have there. So I think a lot of us have this image of we shouldn't have any belly fat. We should be completely flat from top to bottom, and even when you sit down there should be no rolls. Incorrect. I think, you know, some of the leanest people on earth, when they sit down, have a little bit of roll. It's called skin. You know, you're gonna have it there. Sorry, got a little text. Okay, got sidetracked. Yes, so a little bit of roll. And so with my experience, even when I got down to, I think it was 7 or 6.5% body fat, which is way too low. Okay, way too low. I still had a little bit of unwanted fat down there. And when you really think about it, I was at an unhealthy level, right? And in my mind, when I looked at my stomach, I still was unhappy. So my thing to you guys is, what's a realistic and healthy goal and look for you? If your goal is when I sit down or when I do anything in life, I should have a six-pack popping out, that's not realistic, that's not healthy, and ultimately you're just going to be defeated because you're going to be pursuing this goal that's really not attainable. So I think, you know, with the VFAT, my whole point in putting that into the live stream today was to show you that if you do have a little bit more VFAT accumulated, it will push your lower stomach out, and you'll feel like you're carrying more, you know, more weight than usual. And I think this is a good goal to kind of set for yourself, or a good time to set a goal for yourself of, I'm just going to lose fat at a consistent rate for a long period of time. Me and Ray at the gym will always preach, it's the long game, never the short game. If you're trying to lose 20 pounds in a month, sure, but how long can you sustain doing that, right? It's all about your long-term goal. So if you follow these 10 rules I give you, or I gave you, you will lose fat, and you will lose some of that V fat. But also understand, with age, time, if you were bigger in the past and now you're slimmer, you just might have a little bit of love down there, but it can be taken care of to a certain extent. Don't let social media, don't let Instagram kind of fool you that you should have a flat stomach 24/7, okay? Skin does not work that way. So I put this little thing at the very bottom. I said, and this is kind of corny, I know, but it's the only analogy I could think of. Look at your body as a car. All parts of this car must work and run appropriately for the car to move as it should. There is no one answer. So to lose that stubborn belly fat, it is going to take everything. Cardio, strength training, eating your leafy greens, having a solid and stable diet, you know, all these things put together are going to get you there. I did learn, and I haven't been able to find studies that absolutely prove this to be true, but this is what I've always understood, is that wherever you kind of accumulate fat first, your body will usually pull from that fat last. So if you're trying to lose 50 pounds and you accumulated fat in your stomach first, which women most likely will, or their hips. It will take until the very end to lose that. So stay in the game, stay the course. It is a long-term game, but I promise you, if you have a stable and consistent diet and you strength train and you do cardio, and we'll go over exactly how that should look at future streams, you will lose that stubborn belly fat. Just understand, it takes time. It takes time. If you have any questions, please feel free to ask. That probably will conclude everything we have tonight. I know it's nothing monumental, like it's nothing that you guys haven't heard of before probably, or you were expecting like, hey, eat this pill at 9 p.m., wake up and walk 700 feet and you'll lose belly fat. No, I'm gonna give it to you real. Don't let the fitness nutrition shop down the road fool you. Consistency, diet, strength training, cardio, you put all those three together, and as we age, this stuff gets harder. It's just part of the game. But try to enjoy it. Find what works for you, and we'll talk about what kind of cardio works for you or is best for you. What kind of strength training should you be doing? We can go over all that. But if you do these 10 things I gave you, you will get there. I promise. I'm just gonna wait a couple minutes. If you guys are, I said, tuning in now or watching this video at a later time, please comment, please like, let me know what you think. If you're looking for something else or how to make the stream better, let me know. I'm all ears. If you want the document, like I said, for the Google Doc that I made for this, I'll be happy to give it to you. Just go ahead and DM me on Instagram, and I can send that to you. We'll just give it another couple minutes here. Ooh, let's talk about one more thing too. Spot reduction. Okay, this term gets put out there a lot. How do I reduce a certain spot of fat? A lot of people in the fitness world, trainers included, okay, will tell you, like, if you do a ton of push-ups, you'll burn fat in your chest. If you do a ton of crunches, you'll burn fat in your abdomen. Now, yes, that's not a thing. That's not true. So go ahead and hear me out on that. But the reason I do it is for, well, there's another reason I do it. Okay. When you do crunches, or let's say when we do crunches, we're trying to build that muscle, right? We're trying to make it bigger, leaner, stronger. Well, you can't really make a muscle leaner, but you get what I'm saying. You're trying to thicken that muscle up, right? When we do that, it kind of helps. Toning's a hard word. It kind of, you're able to kind of like see formation of the abs, I feel like, even if you're not at a super low body fat percentage, when you've built your muscles in that area. I think it's a hard way to explain it, I know, but those guys that are, look at the gentleman that might be 250 pounds and it looks like his arms are huge and he's not fat. Well, he's built a lot of fat underneath that muscle. So the muscle or the fat on top doesn't look as bad. And so that's a really hard way to put it. My whole point is I'm very big on, yes, there is no such thing as spot reduction. You cannot burn a certain place of fat by doing a certain exercise, but I do believe in building that muscle up, making that muscle bigger so that it can be shown and seen, right? And so that is not spot reduction, but that is something I believe in. I think it's great to build certain parts of the body that you feel like are lacking. So when people ask me, well, why do you do crunches all the time with your clients? Well, that's why, I think you got to build those muscles up, make them bigger, right? And let's tone that part of the body up, if that makes sense. All right, so how long have we been doing this? It's been a little bit. No more questions. I think we're good. Please leave a like, follow, whatever, leave a comment. If you have certain questions or if you want me to answer certain questions in the future, please reach out to me and say, hey, like, what do you think about regarding this, right? Feel free to reach out. I appreciate you guys being here or watching. I'll catch you guys next time.